Joining me now here in the studios, Marc Perelman, our French politics editor. Clearly the biggest newsy angle to come out of that speech is the fact that he's going to suspend the debate over the pension reform until the next presidential election. Is that not just a case of kicking the can down the road?
Well, it's a case of surviving. He knows full well that if he didn't say those words today, the socialists would join the rest of the opposition and throw him out in a motion of no confidence. Two motions have been already tabled to be examined on Thursday morning. If the socialists would join, he's out. So he had to make that concessions. The socialists met again for an emergency meeting just before this speech and said in writing that they wanted some taxation of the super rich. He alluded to, yes, that there would be some taxation of very big companies and also of very rich French, not the Zuckman tax that they had called for, but some kind of taxation. Also that the belt tightening in terms of the budget deficit would not be as tough as the one proposed by his predecessor, François Bayrou, saying that the deficit should not be more than 5%, but his predecessor had said it should be 4.6%, so it's several billions less in terms of austerity cuts. And also, first and foremost, he announced that the pension reform would be suspended until January 2028. It would be suspended in terms of pushing the retirement age towards 64, which was gradually happening. We're now at 62 years and 9 months. This would remain as is until January 2028. And he also said that the duration, the time that you have to pay essentially for your future pension, it was supposed to also be gradually diminished. And he said, we're suspending this. And so this is a bit technical, but this is exactly what the socialists wanted. So the socialist leader in the National Assembly will soon speak and will probably know the answer. Does this mean that Sébastien Lecornu will survive? From what I could hear and what they were hoping to hear, it's probably a yes for now. I mean, at least for a few days, if not a few weeks.
So as you say there, we're waiting to hear as to exactly what the socialist leader is going to say in response to that olive branch, which is, this big proposal in the hope of getting them on board. So, your gut sense is that they will accept it. But of course, as you say, it's sort of the adage, a week is a long time in politics. I would say in France, a day is a long time in politics.
That's true. I mean, he also immediately said that suspending this reform did not mean that money would be wasted. He said it would be 400 million euros this year and 1.7 billion this year. And he said this will need to be compensated by cuts somewhere else, because he says, I'm not going to be the one who is going to let the budget deficit run out of control. He said clearly, we need to be serious. We need to make sure that France's ability to borrow on financial market is not hurt by what we just decided. But he clearly wanted to say it was a rather short and unusual maiden speech in front of the National Assembly. Generally, they take all the issues, talk about it at length. He said, I'm not doing this. This is a government that's in a mission. We need to pass a budget. I'll come back to talk into details about all the issue, but he said, we need to pass a budget. And he insisted that he had done something none of his predecessor had done, which is renounce Article 49.3 of the Constitution, whereby bills can be pushed through Parliament without a vote. He says, I promised, and he repeated that promise, that I will not use it. This means that all the issues, all the texts, all the bills, including and starting with the budget, will be decided by the Parliament. He says, it's back to you. It's not the government that's deciding, and when there's obstruction, it uses Article 49.3. It's you, members of parliament, you bear the responsibility to make this happen. The onus is on you. This is what democracy is about. This was the gist of his message.
So it was a plea for help and
Yes.
support from his parliamentary colleagues. How do you think that's landed as a result, keeping in mind you've got those two no-confidence motions coming up on Thursday?
Well, the two no confidence motions are tabled by the National Rally. Marine Le Pen has repeatedly said, including earlier today, that she would immediately try to throw the government out. And on the other side of the aisle, France unbowed. The big question is, and the communists and the Greens have indicated that they would probably join. Maybe not all of them, but they've said, it will be interesting to see what they have to say in reaction. But the key is the 69 MPs from the socialist group. It's 69 out of 577. Not a lot, but it's really...
It's enough to get the government over the line.
It's enough, or have the government thrown out. Because if they join the motion of no confidence, Sébastien Lecornu can just go back home. I don't see how the socialists could now say, they wanted this suspension of the pension reform front and center. He was very explicit about this. He also said, as I said, the age the shifting of the age towards 64 would be suspended, and also the duration through which you have to pay for your future pension will also be suspended. So this is exactly what the socialists had asked for. So it would be difficult for them to say now, okay, we want to throw Sébastien Lecornu out. The thing is, the socialists are not necessarily united bloc. Some that are maybe closer to the left or the far left might say, we don't want him anyways. We might decide to throw him out. So we'll have to see Thursday when the motions are voted if he can survive, yes or no. But the indication for now seems to be a cautious yes.
Indeed.